Welcome to the Caregiven podcast. I'm Inga.
And I'm Julie.
And long story short, we have Caregiven. We are two momtrepreneurs who have built an in-home care business from the ground up, guided every step of the way by God's care and fueled by agape love. Almost 14 years later, we felt called to create this podcast as a resource for families with caregiving needs. Whether you care for a family member or are looking for advice on professional caregiving, we want this to be a platform to support you.
Each week, we will come to you with encouraging stories of families who have found the right balance for their loved ones, tips for how to care for them and you, and much more. We hope you continue to join us each week as we share in this exciting new journey together.
Hello, Sunshines, and hello, Julie, and hello, Kevin.
Well, good
Hello,
morning.
How are you doing?
Fantastic.
We're taking it. We're going real wild today.
Wild
And crazy. We're going.
So I gotta start something first. I'm gonna screw it up all right off the bat. What episode number is this, or what podcast number?
700,000.
No, seriously. What
I
is
think
this?
it's at least like 73.
Is it 73?
Yeah.
So
Ish.
73
Ish.
ish. And this is the first time I was invited for this.
I know it's an outrage.
73.
It's a darn outrage, Kevin.
All right, sorry. Move on.
Which
I
is
didn't
funny.
mean to mess it up already. Let's go.
It's funny considering I think we almost had to hog tie you and bring you down the stairs. 'Cause
Yeah, I'm not
you've been
super comfortable with
crying a
this.
lot about this, actually.
Yeah.
Is it?
Tried to
right?
not show up today, shepherding.
What was it? 76?
Oh, 76.
Oh,
77.
77.
76.
So it's even worse. It's not helping your cause at all.
Oh. Well, Kevin, we are delighted to
Oh,
have you with
Kevin.
us today.
I am delighted to be here.
You have always been the silent cheerleader, silent partner from the very beginning of Agape Home Care back in 2007. You even actually helped produce one of these episodes. Remember the time when you had to push the record button?
Oh, right, yes.
We got
yes.
how far into it, and then I saw the panic in Julie's eyes because she was not sure that it was recording correctly.
I'm really actually glad that I was not on camera for that one because it was pretty kind of heart-wrenching, a little.
Yeah, I know, because you were confident except for not really.
Oh, well, yeah, that part of it, yeah.
But the topic of that one was tough.
Yeah, the topic.
Right
was
on.
Oh,
tough.
that's
The-
what you
the-
were meaning. Okay,
Yeah,
I
the
gotcha.
topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was
So-
our organ donation.
Organ donation, yeah. So what we're doing, everybody, is that we are actually just kind of catching up with ourselves. And after 76 podcasts, we're just going to remind you who we are, why we are the way we are, and introduce Kevin officially because he's always in the back. And so here we go.
Yeah, and maybe I'll just open with a verse. We're not going to do it exactly in the same format that we normally do, but I think it's important to open with a verse, and particularly with this folder, because you had brought it to me and you said it's the one that we have in our
Printed
material, and I could not for the life of me remember until you quite literally smacked me upside the head with it. And said something to the effect of, "This one, sweet child."
That's exactly how it was.
Exactly. Basically, it is John chapter 4, verses 19 and 20. And it basically says, "We love because he first loved us."
Yeah.
And that kind of just sums it up.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, we have always had this message even before we started doing the podcast with Alyssa, who, by the way, we should take a moment to congratulate because she just got back from her honeymoon. She did get married a little while ago, but the honeymoon just happened. And so that's why we've been off the air for a little while.
Honeymooning.
We thought she deserved that time.
She didn't want to do podcasts at her honeymooning.
Yeah, I know. I think it was hard for her, though.
Yeah, sitting there
I'm
and
not
relaxing.
sure that she learned how to relax.
She missed our voices
I'm 100% certain.
and
that
our
was inaccurate.
brainiac things that we just say that roll off our tongue.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. She's like,
Yes, exactly. That was it.
Yes.
No.
I do think. Oh, Kevin. Hi, Kevin. How are you? He's just
This
shaking
is how
his
it
head.
goes during
Kind
the
of
day.
the story of my life.
Yes.
I just listen to these two banter all day, every day.
Yeah, you get to share.
Through a wall, though. I mean, if we put up a wall right now, we could.
It'd be just perfect.
It'd be just like normal day.
So you share an office with Julie. You are
I-
roommates, and
do.
I am the prima donna. We all know the diva. I get the good office that has the locking doors because the financial stuff is in there. Right. Although you are a very big part of the financial things that go on in this building now.
Yeah.
But anyway, I had thought about getting you like one of those cubby like walls to just put up at your desk. I thought maybe if you walked in one day and that wall was right there, would it make life
He'd
a
hate
better?
it.
I don't know. Julie would be sad.
Julie was so sad when I mentioned that Kevin would possibly think about moving downstairs to an office downstairs. And I think she was...
It's a little hard not to take that personal.
I know.
Because I am absolutely delightful.
You are, too. And
although she gets a little upset if she thinks I'm ignoring her, though.
Which is every day.
You
every
have
minute.
mastered that,
I hear
though.
everything. I just don't always respond, which
So
I've
what
been
do
told
I do?
that's not always a good thing.
I turn on Rick Springfield
Like Springboard.
and play Jesse's Girl.
Yes.
And then slowly
Look
turn my
over.
head.
And we wonder why I ignore.
Yeah. I don't get it.
How long did it take you to get that down? I mean, were you just proficient at ignoring her from the beginning?
Yes.
Or the answer is yes.
Yes. So speaking of ignoring me, let's talk about how we even met years and years ago.
Who's starting?
Well,
You.
I was the last one to this because I think
Yeah.
you guys actually through motorcycles knew each other before I came into the picture. But
So I guess to to start that, before I came here, actually working here, I was a power sports mechanic for 25 years ish, somewhere in there.
Yep.
So yes, I met Julie through motorcycles when we had our, I don't know, we probably met when I was at
You and Mike knew each other for
at
a long
dealership
time
or
prior
whatever,
to
but
us.
then Inga and I had our own shop, and then
Yep.
that's where I met Julie when she was
I was
promoting her track.
Hey,
and
you. We need to.
have I got a deal for you?
Yeah. We gotta collaborate.
Yeah. Yeah. So then our shop, Superior Sled and Cycle at the time, we did some collaboration with you at your track, Nirata MX.
And you guys
Raceway.
became our neighbors.
We
So
did
it
become your
was
neighbors. That was weird.
Handy to drop off the two-wheelers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Expensive
It's
also.
good. It's good and it's bad when the when the shop is so close.
Yes, that's
It's good for me,
true.
not necessarily good for you.
Yeah. So before we even started this shindig, which was in 2007, we became almost neighbors, and then Inga and I started working together.
Yep.
And then that's where we were like, we need to make some changes here, and actually. Inga was so rude to say that I couldn't run a business like this without her. She's not wrong. And then we said, hey, Kevin, we have an idea. And he just looked at us and just smiled and nodded. And that's kind of how he's been for 15 years. Just
He's getting a little mouthier these days, but
Smile and nod. Oh, it was a good idea. So
Yeah.
I didn't find any faults in the idea. So I thought, man, let's run with it.
Oh, yeah. And I really feel like after that meeting there at your shop, we just jumped off a cliff, and it's just been just this blessing every single day. And then
Agreed.
for several years, you continued that, and then you actually then closed that to become more of this.
Yeah, I was actually trying to think about that this morning before this podcast because I don't even know how many years I've actually been working here in the office.
I don't either.
I don't even know.
No.
Were you here before Tuna was here? Because I was trying to figure out how old
No,
the cat
Tuna,
is.
Tuna's always been here since
You've been here?
I've been here.
Okay,
yeah.
well, if we can identify how long you've been here, then I can probably identify how old the cat is.
I honestly, I don't know, but I mean, it was a good move. I mean, I don't, if there's any of the old motorcycle customers listening, I'm sorry, but I don't miss it. It was a good move to come here. So to come here full time and actually work here. So
Yeah.
I mean, I do miss. I miss the people there.
Right.
I don't miss the job necessarily. So
Oh, you've done it a long time.
yeah,
Long time, over 30 years.
Yeah.
it was a long time.
Well, and
I
as
feel like I should have been able to retire or something.
no, that's never happened.
Nobody's allowing that to happen.
Basically, you just get something else that you have to add on to. So, such as this morning, you were shepherding, right? So at home, we have a flock of
Yes,
sheep that
there-
are having babies, and
There is that. I'm a prime example that your plan doesn't necessarily jive with God's plan.
Right.
God's plan is the plan you're going to go on, because in a million years I would have never guessed that I'd be raising sheep.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or babysitting Julie all day.
Or babysitting Julie. Yep. Maybe she babysits me.
Yes.
I think it's a collective effort. I think we all, to a degree, babysit each other, which is what makes it great.
That actually makes sense.
Well, yeah, none of us like each other's portion of the job.
Right.
Some of us don't even like our own portions of the job.
There are days. There are projects.
Yeah. No, I think it's been a really good dynamic. And like Julie was saying, in the very beginning, you were just a huge supporter of the idea of us going out and opening our own home care company because of, the mission behind it and the purpose that we're serving in the community. And then from the perspective as your spouse, I could see in the motorcycle that it just wasn't as meaningful to you as what you saw us doing.
Right.
And so then there was that transition, and it didn't come without a lot of thought on your part to say, where do I need to go? What am I being led to do? What is going to make the most difference in the world, I think.
Well, and basically looking back on it was, thinking to myself, am I even capable of switching careers? Because it's just completely different.
Right.
Now, granted, you've trained me, so.
It is funny, though. I forget because you are very proficient in what you do here. And so when you ask me things, I often forget that this is not what you've done all of your life. So.
Yeah, it's not second nature. I mean,
right.
I have had to do office work through the,
Sure.
through different dealerships and, our own business to, you still have to do those things, but not to this level, I guess. So.
Right.
One of the beautiful things about this, I was going to say marriage, because evidently
in a weird, strange way.
Yeah.
Work
15
marriage.
years.
Let's not go there. That's a topic for somebody else's podcast.
So what this is it's been a great partnership because I do the cow thing, you do the sheep thing, but it's really funny because you guys, like right now, are in the middle of lambing and you got lambs coming out your ears. And in about 3 to 4 weeks, I'll be calving, but we get each other.
Right.
We get that, and then also the motorcycle connection, because when I have my races, I might have to take a few hours here or a day off there, or we're calving, you guys are lambing, and we just like, okay, we'll see you when we see ya.
Yeah.
And just flow with it. And not everybody would understand that or have the grace that we give each other, because we love it and we have it, and it's just who we are as a team.
It has definitely created a lot of flexibility for us. And again, like you're saying, there's that understanding of other things. I mean, the work doesn't stop. So you might be at your motorcycle track still working. We might be in the barn still working. That stuff never stops. But just the flexibility of being able to understand, we might not always be at our desk.
Yeah, there's many a time I'll be out with the cows and I'll be talking to a client and I'll have to explain, now I am in the corral. So, and they'll hear this mooing and they just have to understand that that's kind of, we are really real.
Yes.
And that is who we are, and we're proud of it. And that's kind of the dynamic of this family. But, when people walk in this door, they feel that.
I don't even know how many people we interviewed and hired last week. And just walking through the door of this building, it's like they all said, this is where I'm supposed to be. I walked into this building and I knew that this is where I'm supposed to be. And I guess we should maybe back up just a little bit if there are listeners that maybe haven't listened up to this point or don't know exactly who we are, what we do, where we came from, how we got here. So essentially, we've mentioned it. In 2007, we opened Agape Home Care and provided non-medical in-home care services, primarily to the elderly, disabled, or maybe someone that's recovering from an accident or an illness. And essentially, we're providing assistance with activities of daily living, helping people be able to remain in their home environment, whatever that is. Maybe it's an actual home, maybe it's an apartment, maybe it's an assisted living facility, but giving them the extra care that they need to be able to remain safely in that environment and not necessarily have to go to some type of a skilled facility.
Right.
So 2007, we started out, you and me, Julie, were in the office. Kevin was helping, back us financially and cheering for us. And then we had a couple employees, just a couple to start.
Yep.
You and I worked a lot of shifts, and it has just grown into something that I cannot even believe.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
amazing. And we talk about this at times, because I'm the numbers person, and I love at the end of the year to look back and say, do you understand how much we put into this community in terms of wages?
Right.
And that's a huge thing for me.
It's a big deal.
Yeah. Our main purpose of Agape Home Care is to be able to provide services to our clients, or, recipients, I guess, of care in their homes, to keep them from having to go to a more skilled type setting. So we opened in 2007. We have since changed our name from Agape Home Care to EPAGA Home Care. We did this because we franchised our business model and our care concept, and we were not able to trademark the name Agape Home Care. So we spelled it backwards and said we are a reflection of God's love. If you don't know the meaning of the word agape, Julie, take it away.
Agape is a Christian definition of love, and it's basically love one another.
Yep.
And that's kind of how this whole business is if you don't have a super big heart to servant love others, it's not going to happen.
Right.
I actually had a discussion with my aunt last night. She had sent me a picture of the epidemic right now in Montana, where there's like at least 11 nursing homes that have closed so
Yes.
far.
Yeah.
And so she was like talking about the workforce, because that's what the whole article about was. There's not enough staff.
Right.
And I was just like, we live it every day.
Right.
And we're trying to always find good people. And she made a comment about staff and the training. And I was like, fine line there, because you don't make a caregiver.
Right.
If they don't want to be there, if they don't feel that connection with that person, and we can't train that.
Right.
So these people have to be those that give, that their love language
Right.
is service.
Yes.
So with basically with that being said, I just want to say this: we have the most amazing caregivers.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, they go above and beyond
Yeah.
all the time,
Yeah.
every day.
Every day. Every day. As scheduling right now. Thank you, Sammy.
Well, yeah. So hopefully, I mean, I'd like to think that some of them listen to this, and hopefully they know how much we love them, and we
Appreciate.
appreciate it's
them, because
they are amazing. So.
They will. I had a sick call this morning, and potentially by the time I shuffled everything around, I was going to have to impact 10 different groups because of one sick call to be able to adjust everybody else. And that's a big deal.
Yes.
But without that heart of service and knowing what our goal is and why we have to do what we're doing, they can't work here. And it's the same way with that article that she was bringing up and talking about the training. I'm like, it's not a training issue
Right.
at all. It's a heart issue.
Right. And that's not to say that people, maybe you're not in the hands-on of it, right? But I mean, people still contribute in other ways, but that true hands-on caregiving
that's
in the gutters, activities of daily living, that stuff is absolutely, like you are saying, you're either born with that or not.
Yeah.
We're not going to make it. I mean, we can help train you to make your skill set a little bit better, but
Stronger.
it has to start from
the
within.
mechanics of things, of transferring somebody. Yes, that can be trained.
Yep.
But
But the original intent of the person's desires to be here is a big deal. And so that is the definition of agape.
Yes.
Is all of these people in the world that are of service love.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when we first started this business, you had the idea of Agape Home Care, and immediately it was like, absolutely.
That will work.
Absolutely.
That will do.
It's interesting because not everyone has familiarity with the word, and so sometimes you get a little bit of what is that name? How do you even pronounce it? Agape? But once you're able to explain the meaning and the meaning to us, I think it makes a big impact.
Yeah. Yeah. And then people that have to work here, it's a culture that we are very much involved in. And we're talking about leadership from the top down. We eat, breathe, drink this stuff. And we hope that the people that with us have that same feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Kevin.
Julie.
So you do a bunch of the program stuff with like Medicaid and veterans, and it's super duper fun, but it's super duper vital to the rest of what we do besides service for these people. So just tell us a little bit about your day to day.
So I do have to kind of keep track of the VA Medicaid authorizations, because it just doesn't, somebody just doesn't flip a switch and then we
they don't
provide
keep track
care.
of themselves.
Right. We provide care for somebody. So we do have to, get an authorization from the respective programs. So I am keeping track of that. And then they do have to have recertifications every 6 months. So there's that part of it, which is a little bit, I don't know. It's cumbersome, I guess, the paperwork that's involved.
It's interesting because it's kind of a 6 month cycle, but it's also very urgent, right? Because the things that you do have to be done on a time schedule to be in compliance. And that's something that we have been very, we take it very, very seriously.
Yes, Inga does take that very serious and has
impressed upon Kevin.
Bestowed that upon us, that upon me, that hey, this is no fooling around. We're gonna do this. We're gonna, every time we get audited, 100% is the expectation. There is no,
of ourselves.
There is no nothing less than that.
It's 100% or nothing, man.
So, and that's a good thing. I mean, that's the way we need to be with whether it's Medicaid, whether it's VA, whether it's private pay, whatever it is, we need to be.
Well,
we need to be that
and
every day.
I have to say that we just had a situation recently where we just became aware of something that was going on with the program, and we followed up and spoke with some leadership from VA and just confirmed that we were doing things how we were supposed to be doing them, and making sure that we're getting that information out to other agencies that do what we do. And essentially she gave us the best compliment, because she said that our agency has a very good reputation for doing things correctly. Mm-hmm. And that comes from basically the work that you do, the work that Julie does when she hires people and does intakes, and the work that our nurses do, and me yelling at everybody to make sure that they do those things. So, no, I'm just teasing.
I mean, from us, to the caregivers, everybody, I mean, we're always working at the best that we can to make everybody happy. And that doesn't always happen, but I mean,
that's usually my job, to screw up somebody's day.
I would like to think that people understand that, hey, we're working as hard as we can to hopefully keep you satisfied and happy with what we're doing.
The problem is this: people do not understand the perimeters of the programs, and that you have to stay within the perimeters of those programs. When you're with Medicaid or veterans, it's black and white.
Yes.
So with Medicaid, you got 9.75 hours a week. We can't do 9.5 or 13. Right. We have to do 9.75.
It's very specific.
Otherwise, we have to validate ourselves. We have to verify ourselves. Yep. We have to cover our rear ends.
We better have an answer.
And have an answer when those audits come. We have to justify. And it's been really tough this last almost year because of staffing issues. Mm-hmm. And so in a black and white world, we're a lot of the time in gray.
Right.
And then that's where your job is so important, because we then have to show our records and our patterns and our whys. Why did we make the decision we did?
I have to give Inga and Julie a lot of credit on when it comes to audit time, because they're the ones that really put that stuff together and make sure our
basically it
I's
just
are dotted, T's crossed, everything.
Yeah. I hate that.
I try to hope to have good information for them. I hope I've done my part all year, and so hopefully they have a.
Because I am the black and white person. I am the numbers person. I am this is how it has to be in compliance. And so, when I then go back and review through what's been going on, leading up to the audit.
That's when we find out if I've been doing my job all year or not.
So far you're passing. Well, so we've got 100% last year.
And the problem is I'm the gray person.
Yes, you have to be.
Because of when you work with people, if you make them be so rigid that you're going to lose them.
Right.
And with the staffing the way it is now, I have to kind of take a little bit more crap than normal, and I don't like it. But it's really interesting because somebody made a comment the other day that like, oh my gosh, you guys have been spending too much time together. You're getting too much alike. But the funny thing is there's been things about you guys that I have taken on because I'm way more diligent about my I's and my T's, and I hate it. I hate it with a passion. But I also know in my job, if I don't do it right the first time, somebody's going to find it sooner than later. Because in scheduling, if you screw up, it's not going to just ever hide. Yeah. It's out there yelling at you.
Right.
And so I've had to become a better person when it comes to being just more thorough in everything that I do. And that's hard because I'm pulling away from a gray area into the black and white, trying to make sure that I'm doing it so that Inga will understand.
Well, and at the same time, I know for me, I have changed tremendously from when we first started this business. And I know when we first got our Medicaid program, I think there was about a year of my life that I thought for sure I was just going to die because I was just this walking ball of stress and anxiety wanting to make sure that we were doing everything right. Because, I mean, when we first brought the Medicaid program on, one of the reasons why we did that is because it's important to us that program be administered correctly. Yeah. And there is, in-home care in those situations. I mean, there have been instances of fraud, not through us. Right. I mean, we have a very, very strict policy on no BS. And if we even think that there's a fraudulent situation happening, we are going to exit the chat. I mean, we're going to talk about it, make sure, confirm.
Right. We're going to address it
immediate.
Immediately, right.
But basically, because I look at it as a taxpayer myself in a program that, tax dollars are helping to fund, I want to make sure that that money is being handled responsibly.
Right.
So anyway, that is kind of a bigger picture for me. And unfortunately, like you're saying with the scheduling piece of it, your mistakes get caught pretty immediately because somebody's going to call and say, hey, where's my caregiver? Or the caregiver's going to call and say, hey, where's my client? Or, whatever.
Right.
What Kevin and I do is a little bit different because really I'm catching it at the end of the year when I'm going through and auditing all of those charts. Kevin, if he makes a mistake on payroll, you'll know. I mean, if it's an underpayment,
somebody will tell me.
Yeah, and if it's an overpayment, we don't usually hear about it.
I mean, a lot of it for me is just making sure that things are billed to the right authorization number, the right program, the right. It's those sorts of things.
This is why I need you people in my life because all of that's making my head blow up.
Yes. Well, when I think about you scheduling, I'm like, I'll take the fight with TriWest to get paid for VA, and you can do the schedule stuff.
Because isn't that insane? Because I would rather not ever even say the word TriWest.
I know. You're just like going to start twitching. Just saying it.
Sharing an office with Julie, I get to hear most of the conversations, and I don't want any of them. It's
just hard. I mean, and like you said, we're managing people, and I think one of the benefits to being a caregiver with our agency is the fact that we are so flexible, so understanding, and we get it that life happens, and so we always want to try to work around. And thankfully, I mean, like Kevin said, our caregivers are really, really good. But like you said this morning, you had a sick call and all of a sudden that implodes, 10 different accounts because you're trying to make sure.
And that person couldn't help that they were sick, for goodness sakes.
Right, yeah.
So there's no sense in me getting frustrated but I've had to let go a lot.
Yeah.
In terms of, because I would like to really, if I let it, it would ruin my whole day.
Yes.
And I can't.
Yeah, I did that for a year.
Okay, shake it off. How are we going to fix it?
Yeah.
But it's a huge mindset. Not everybody can be a scheduler because they aren't crazy enough or something.
I couldn't do it. And like you said, I mean, one sick call, I mean, it's not just that person. I mean, it disrupts potentially 10 different clients, 10 different caregivers, whatever it may
Half
be.
my day.
Right.
So it's a big deal that when something changes.
Right. And when I think about scheduling, and probably a lot of people have the idea that it's like, oh, I'm going to call and schedule an appointment. Like you call the doctor, they say, oh, we can get you in, 10 days from now at 9:00. Well, that is not at all what scheduling is for you.
Right. It's a moving target all day, every day.
Thing. Yeah. Yes. So we're very excited because besides the home care, day-to-day stuff that we're talking about, we've got big goals for growth. Because part of what we always wanted to do was share what we do with the rest of the world because we're all getting older. We have to have care. So in terms of expansion, like you were talking about, franchising, it's been tough. It's a new, different world, a new business model that we haven't learned. And then COVID hit, so that put us behind the 8 ball.
Sure.
I mean, we've got lots of things to do, but it's one of those where it takes extra effort to even do that.
Yeah. Well, and it's a changing dynamic right now. I mean, there is no lack of work, and thankfully we just keep telling ourselves that we're abundant with caregivers. And so to keep sending them through the door.
Yeah.
You have to try to manifest those
Yes.
things and,
Yes.
and get caregivers
Power
for
of
sure.
positive thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a lot of need out there, and there's definitely not enough people to help.
No.
Right.
Accommodate
Even
that
on a good
need.
day, there isn't.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
We do have our offices going. So we have a franchisee in Helena, and then also in the Bitterroot, Missoula area. Primarily, they're focusing down in the Bitterroot. And I was thinking about some facts about our areas that we're serving, right? So Helena, like capital of Montana. And then in the Bitterroot, isn't that where they film Yellowstone?
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
It's terrible. Do not come here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if we want to talk about Yellowstone or not, but it is definitely not reality of what it's like to live here.
Oh, yeah, no.
It is amazing that it's always summertime on
I was
Yellowstone.
thinking that our last hit of winter, and I was just bundled up, and every time I blinked, my eyes would freeze, and I was like, where's my bunkhouse full of cowboys?
Yeah.
I'd love to see them let's not go there. But I would love to see them at 20 below and see how they handle things. But
what's interesting about it is so they're getting a lot of extras for help on that show from Montana, your sister's kiddo. And then we have an actual real cowboy friend that is out in the, how many degrees below zero and then the wind chill. And he actually was one of the bunkhouse boys in this season. So
yeah, that was fun to watch him.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, my stepdaughter's kids were in it this season. I haven't watched this season, so I haven't got to see them yet.
Yeah.
But they were in it too.
Yeah.
So
wild.
So,
anyway,
to back up a little bit, I'm gonna take
Get us off
a
the
little bit of the
Yellowstone.
lead here.
do it.
So we did kind of take a step back as far as really pursuing franchises, but I mean, in the back of our head, but not gone. So we are still looking for, hopefully some franchisees in Great Falls, in Bozeman and Billings. Those places are kind of in our head, but I think we would entertain anywhere that somebody was interested. We would definitely like to have a conversation with that.
Sure.
So,
and our big thing about wanting to franchise in Montana first is just the ability for us to be available to our franchisees. And so as things come up, as needs need to be met, can we get to them within a reasonable amount of time? It wouldn't make sense for us to sell franchises in North Carolina or something, because being able to service those people would be nearly impossible.
Not at this point, not at this point, I don't think.
Oh yeah, eventually we're taking over the world. But
I think we've been trying to kind of pride ourselves in making sure that we're providing that support that's needed. Maybe even a little bit over the top in some instances where I don't necessarily think other franchisors would provide the same amount of support that
but that's who we are
doing.
Yeah.
So
and that's
we
they're
want
going
people
to succeed because that helps everybody succeed.
Failure's not
we
an
want
option.
people to be successful, and we're not trying to just get franchises out there for you to fail. I mean, we want you to be successful because it ultimately it benefits the people that we're trying to serve, and that's ultimately what we're trying to do.
Right.
Talking about being so energetic and so excited about what we do, I play this weird little game with myself. And when I go anywhere in the community, I think about the jobs that people are doing. And I always think to myself, I really love my job.
Yeah.
I love my job. There's not been a day in my life that I have woken up and not wanted to come to this building or to do and engage in what we are doing. Not just the client care, but also what we do for our employees, because I think that's a big part of our weird little ministry, I think.
That's awesome.
So anyway, yes. So all of those things being said about businesses, who are we as people?
Yeah.
Kevin, who are you?
Why do we have to start with me?
Because I want to see what your answer is, and then I'll know what to do with
How
mine.
far back are we going here? What are we talking about? I mean, we know that I was
Forever.
I don't know. I mean, I think a big part of my life right now is this, and then also the show lamb operation that our daughters somehow brought upon us. Again, I think I mentioned it earlier about, God has a plan for you and it may not align with your own plan. And that's a prime example. I mean, I had no idea. We walked into this livestock thing with no experience, no nothing. And just by the grace of God, was blessed with good people to kind of mentor us and get us to where we are. And we still just have people come into our lives that just keep elevating us and make us better and try to get to those goals that we have. I have a goal in my head, that I had it's my goal, but it kind of takes Bailey, our youngest daughter, to kind of achieve that goal. So I don't know. There's a goal there that I haven't got to yet. So I have faith that God's gonna provide, and we're gonna make these things happen. So,
well, it's been interesting for me, and it makes me really proud to watch you through that experience, and to watch Bailey as well. So, when she was 11 years old or something when we had her first.
Thank you, Sam, for starting this.
Oh yes, for sure. Yeah. Wait, was that sarcastic or was that no?
Well, it was a little of both. I mean, I wouldn't change it for the world, but it was Sam's.
Oh yeah, yes.
Sam's high school
wanting to show pigs.
Yeah, wanting to show pigs. That kind of started it all. So got to give her some credit.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But watching you and watching Bailey with the actual sheep breeding has been remarkable to me. It started out with 2 ewes that she had to keep throughout the entire winter before we let her breed them, because we wanted to make sure she was going to still be willing to get up and do chores. And now I just see a lot more confidence with every ewe that lambs, with you and with Bailey. And turns out the ewes were just only recently informed that Kevin, in fact, is not a vet, because
I am not.
He has to do a lot of baby delivering and.
Well, there are a lot of things that get done that I'm not sure.
You don't have any formal training in,
but
but
have any training in, but you have to make it happen sometimes, and
your hands, God's work, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, for the outside person listening in, I guess, not looking in, but for a lot of people, when they think about a livestock show, I think they think of maybe county fair, where there's a market show, there's a sale at the at the end of the week. But there are other aspects to that. There are what's called jackpot shows that happen on a regular basis, almost every weekend, depending on where you're at in the country. And kids will buy animals. It's primarily it's lambs, it's goats, cattle, and hogs, and they're raising them to show them. That's it doesn't necessarily align with necessarily a commercial type operation that's just making
meat.
That's making meat for consumption. So it doesn't always jive with that, but that's kind of what we're doing. And our operation is we're raising lambs for that show.
Right. Yeah. So basically, we are breeding sheep that primarily get sold to 4-H and FFA members. And like you're saying, generally the end goal is some type of a market livestock auction. A lot of times that happens through fairs, whether it's county or state fair. And I was actually just at a meeting where one of the participants of the meeting was basically saying, hey, do we teach them enough about the end product, or are we only focusing on showmanship? And I started thinking about that a lot, because showmanship of an animal is basically it's not just walking into the ring and presenting that animal to the judge. There is so much work that goes into it leading up to that actual jackpot show or county fair, whatever it is. I mean, the kids that do this pretty competitively, they are working with their animals. I mean, most of them are like hand measuring food for their animal in the morning and at night. They're working with them, whether that's exercise, whether that's practicing on how to set them up and how to present them to a judge. And this is day after day after day. And the life lessons that teaches,
Right.
There's no price that you can put on that.
Right. I mean, these animals are athletes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what they are. They get trained. They exercise. They get fed the best feed they can get. I mean, and they're well taken care of. So anybody out there that thinks it's, maybe inhumane or whatever, you are sadly mistaken as far as that goes, because these things they're treated better than we treat ourselves by a mile.
I cannot remember a time ever that you will come to the dinner table before you and Bailey have fed the animals.
It doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
So.
And a lot of these kids that live this life, that's their sport. When you're talking about an athlete, you're talking not just the animal, but the kid, because this is their mindset. This is their passion. Yeah. And this is what they do. It
teaches them so much preparation and so much discipline. And I also think that when you take an animal into the show ring, it's risky, right? Because at the end of the day, they are still animals.
Yeah.
And these kids have to learn how to deal with adversity if that animal decides that's the day they're not going to behave. So what does the animal do? How do they take control of that steer? How do they take control of that pig? So, I mean, the life lessons are just, it's huge. And I can't imagine our kids ever having grown up without it.
Right.
They'd be totally different.
Well, I mean, you talk about it being risky. You're walking into a show ring and you're asking somebody to judge you.
Yes.
I mean, that's not something that a lot of people want,
Yes.
to just walking around wanting to get judged, but you're asking somebody to do it.
And their opinion that day.
Right. Yeah. You're really putting yourself out there, not only the animal, but the kids themselves, it's a pretty special environment that they're in, and the families that come along with that. It's pretty special.
For sure. Some of the most genuine and just good human beings that we know we have met through livestock. And we as a team here see so much value in that we actually have the Montana Royal Junior Livestock Show. That is an event that we put on. We promote, we host, and we do that here in Kalispell at the Flathead County Fairgrounds facility. We have kids that come from all over the United States. I mean, the farthest exhibitor that's come, I guess, was from Oklahoma. But they see so much value in doing this with their kids, how it's teaching them so much more than just, raising a market animal. It's just crazy.
Right.
I would have never, ever thought. But, when you think about Agape Home Care, when you think about franchising, you think about the Montana Royal, I say that we as a team have not once ever gone into an endeavor with the idea that it wasn't going to be the absolute best that it could be.
Right.
And that we just continue to grow and grow and grow,
right,
and provide more opportunities.
Yeah, it's always trying to make a good experience for whatever we're doing, whether it's home care or whether it's a livestock show or whatever. It's trying to make the best experience out of it. Mm-hmm. But anyway, we've talked about that. Now, Julie's cattle operation doesn't necessarily always align with the show world, but she is doing some she's doing some cool special stuff. So let's hear about it.
You have your own little
you got
niche.
some
Niche.
Yeah.
How do you say it?
Yeah, Mike and I, we started raising our own beef years and years ago. And it started out as a hobby, and now it's become one of those things where it's just...
It gets out of hand quickly.
It can, very easily.
Like you go to bed one night with 2 cows and you wake up the next morning and you have 100.
That's right.
Kind of how it happened with
right.
sheep.
Oh my gosh. But so we've done commercial all the time. We've always had registered Angus bulls with our cows. So we have a nice animal for sure, but not the show quality. We're the feedlot people, and the burgers, and we have a lot of people that actually buy just from us, and so it's just that food to table process. But this last couple of years, we've actually been ramping up with a little side where we've taken this new breed Wagyu, and there's a lot of people that love that meat, and it just has more of the fat in the meat, and it's some people consider it a delicacy, and it's just the genetics of that animal, and the longer they're fed longer. And so I'm learning this new process. I have new customers for that part of the meat because it is more expensive, yet keeping and maintaining the commercial side of it. So it's just actually what it sounds like around here is that we're just plumb nuts. We're always busy doing something.
Yeah, there's never a
dull moment.
A dull moment, or just you don't get a time to relax.
No,
there is no relax.
No, because as springtime is coming, actually, I'm trying to figure out when I can fit some motorcycle races into my life, because we have at least 3 that we want to promote this spring with my husband and I, and he's got to do the same thing, figure out when's the best time for him to take off work. And because we both have real jobs, and these other things, just like your farm is, probably where you'd want to be 100% of the time if you could run the business out of the farm, right?
Oh yeah.
So it's a lot of, once again, just my life as a scheduler, putting the pieces of the puzzle together. But we wouldn't do it if we didn't love it. So that's the deal. You get your gratification from that. Obviously, God thought that we could handle it, and so he helped us build those different entities and what we're doing. And I love it. We're going to start calving pretty soon. It does mean, like you guys right now, loss of sleep, and different challenges. It
is a stressful time of year, but it's the best time too.
Yeah.
Once lambs are out and they're they're out of the barn and they're running around, that's the best.
Oh my gosh. Speaking of, you guys have done a ton of social media just recently always, but just recently really focusing on your baby lambs, and people are freaking going wild about it, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have the best.
Alyssa does
great
work.
Yeah. We build the lambs. Alyssa takes the video of them, and it's really been going wild.
Yeah,
I love it.
Not only the podcast, but she takes good care of our
our
social media accounts.
The other piece of that is her mastery is the social media, the cameras, making things look good. I'm a classic example of that.
So if I don't look good in this podcast, it's Alyssa's fault.
But she also has a passion for livestock.
Yes.
So, and an eye.
Yes.
Like none other.
She is a Jill of all trades.
Yes.
Is that what they call it?
Very talented. and
you guys, listeners, I really wish that at times there was a camera on Alyssa.
Yeah.
Some of the faces are just great.
Yeah, there really should be.
Yeah.
Usually it's one of did Julie just really say that?
Yeah. Funny. Well, so we took it out of the normal format. We still did give you our verse, and we do want to do, I wanted to share with you kind of a good news story. It's not necessarily that, but our friends, the Kosteckis, who also raise sheep, Show Sisters Sheep Company, and they happen to be our Bitterroot and Missoula branch or area.
Yes.
They had posted this video, and I've got to see if I can pull it up here. Alyssa will put it in so that you can watch it if need be, or she'll make noise so you can hear it.
She'll do her magic.
She'll do what she does.
Yeah.
And as soon as I can get this up here.
The snow is crunchy and the stars are bright as I make my rounds checking sheep tonight. The air is cold and the moon is high, but it looks kind of sleepy, and so am I. 10, then 12, then 2, then 4, from the house to the barn and then back once more. We have to lamb early to make the stock show, but if we were half smart, we wouldn't lamb in the snow. And though I am tired and ready for sleep, I'll be up in 2 hours to go check on the sheep. Then my light hits a U for the new set of twins. Both up and sucking, and my heart just grins. I separate them off into a lemon jug, and I feel like God just gave my soul a hug. Tiny and frail, yet still lively and strong. That old ew's talking to him like she's humming a song. I walk back to the house, now wide awake. That made it all worthwhile, and I can take a short break. When the ewes finish lambing, well, the heifers will start. Sure, it costs me some sleep, but it's good for my heart. I'm just a cowboy and a shepherd, and that suits me just fine. Because there's something pretty special about birthing time. Watching life starting out, it just can't be beat. If I live to be 90, it'll still sure be sweet. And that's one main reason I have this little place, because calves and lambs put a smile on my face. You know, a wise one man once told me, something most folks believe. Only people up at midnight are crooks and thieves. But I think he was wrong. And it's sure easy to see, and if you'll come spend a few nights ranching with me, you'll find sleep's overrated, but I'll tell you what's not. Being a shepherd, being a steward is the best job I've got. Caring for livestock, for the water and the land, it's in my DNA, and it what makes my life grand. So next January, on a cold winter night, I'll be out checking the sheep under the stars so bright.
I relate to that, I think.
Yeah.
I feel his pain.
Yes. That
And his
marvelous
and his
pain.
happiness at the
Yes.
same time. But yeah, there is a level of sleep deprivation that accompanies it.
It does. Just thank goodness for those little babies.
Oh,
and I have to
yes.
tattle on Kevin, because this morning we actually had babies this
geez.
morning, and one of them ended up in the wrong jug with the wrong ewe. So he realized that there was a sheep out of place, basically went out to the barn, and by the time he got there, there was an additional sheep that was not in the right place. And I happened to be watching this on the video, which I don't like to do usually. You know, I don't want to be peeping on anyone, but it was hilarious when that little lamb gave you the slip. And I think you described it as like a piece of paper in the wind. Every time you would reach down to get it, it would just go.
Take off running again.
Yeah, I could see you laughing, and I could see that little sheep just running around doing hot laps.
I was thinking she was pretty lively for just being born. I should have caught on that.
Yeah, turns out she
was
hadn't just been born. She was
not the
from a
right
different
mom.
one. But
Yeah, but we got it figured out.
Yeah,
We
you
got
got it all
everybody
sorted
in their
out.
right places. So
yeah. All right, everybody. Well, if you haven't done so, please go and subscribe. You can do that anywhere you listen to your podcasts, and join us on our EPAGA Care and Share Facebook group, and send us your verses or your good news stories. You can do that at the Caregiven Podcast at gmail.com. And with that being said, peace out, Girl Scouts.
Have a good day.
thank you.